Hello anybody, and thanks for tuning into Monday Morning Handicapping. This is a pedigree playlist, and the horse I'm going to be covering is a racehorse named Wondergirl Carly. She's had one career start so far, so I want to use the pedigree to discern what types of races I think will suit this horse the best, what types of distances, what types of surfaces, and so on. So let's take a look. Do a little video rundown before we get started. I'll cover who is Wondergirl Carly. We'll take a look at my Google Sheets document, which will be provided in the description below just to show everybody the data set that I'm working with. We're going to compare pedigree stats against her debut victory. Is she overachieving or just meeting expectations at this point? I'll go over what types of surfaces she might prefer based on the pedigree, what distances might suit her the best based on her pedigree, and how durable are the runners produced by her sire and dam sire. So try to get a glimpse of the possible longevity of her career, and then we'll wrap it up with some overall takeaways and final thoughts. So who is Wondergirl Carly? Wondergirl Carly is the first horse owned outright by Go-Go Gray Stables, and I want to make a correction. In my last video, I covered Miss Watermelon, also owned by Go-Go Gray Stables. Miss Watermelon, I mentioned, was the first horse owned by Go-Go Gray, but she was actually the first horse to race, and Wondergirl Carly is actually the first horse they owned, but again, Miss Watermelon was the first one to actually race, so I got those mixed up a little bit. Go-Go Gray Stables is Dave Portnoy's new horse racing operation. Dave Portnoy is the founder of Barstool Sports, which he began as a free newspaper and built it into a large media company centered around sports and gambling. I wanted to cover another one of his horses because I think there will be a lot of players as well as his followers that want to know more about his horses and what to expect from a pedigree standpoint this early in her career. I also feel that someone with his passion and interest in the sport, both monetarily and from a publicity standpoint, it would be wise to show interest and appreciation for his endeavors. So Wondergirl Carly, her sire or father was a racehorse named Gunrunner. Her dam or mother was a racehorse named Wondermint, and her dam sire, so the father of Wondermint, was a horse named Cosmonaut. Wondergirl Carly is trained by Lindsay Schultz, who has a career win rate of 16%. Wondergirl Carly was purchased for $650,000 as a yearling in 2023. She has one career race so far in which she won. She won on debut, so the first time ever racing. She won as a 3-year-old going 6 furlongs or 3/4 of a mile on the dirt at Parks Racecourse. That was on October 20th of 2025. And just some quick notes about her debut race. She went off at 2-to-1 odds on debut in an 8-horse field. She was 5-to-1 on the morning line, which means she got a lot of public support, whether or not that was based around her talent or just because the owner is very popular, to be determined. But I just want to mention that her odds were cut in more than half. She broke out of the gate well from post number 7, tracked the leader in the 3 path, so not on the rail, not on the inner path, but 2 horse widths out from the inside. That's the 3 path. Took the lead entering the stretch, won easily by 4 1/4 lengths. The fractions of the race, the times weren't overly impressive, and she faced no adversity, didn't have to overcome any traffic or getting boxed in, anything like that. Professional looking debut, but untested. Could see improvement next start. So Wondergirl Carly, careers of the immediate pedigree. So we're going to be taking a look at her sire, who was Gunrunner. He had 19 career starts, 12 wins, 3 seconds, 2/3, and earned $16 million in his career. Gunrunner won on debut going 8 furlongs or 1 mile on the dirt. All of his races were run between 8 and 10 furlongs on the dirt. He was a 6-time Grade 1 winner. He won the 2017 Breeders' Cup Classic. He was 3rd in the 2016 Kentucky Derby. And in 2017, Gunrunner won the Eclipse Award for Horse of the Year and Champion Older Dirt Male. Taking a look at her dam sire, Cosmonaut. Cosmonaut had 36 career starts, 8 wins, 8 seconds, and 3/3. And had $1.4 million in career earnings. He broke his maiden in start number 4, going 8 furlongs on the turf. All of his wins were between 8 and 10 furlongs. Has wins on both dirt and turf, and is a 4-time Grade 3 winner. Based on the careers of Wondergirl Carly's immediate pedigree and knowing she won her debut race, I would assume that Wondergirl Carly has some talent and should be able to handle a stretch out in distance. She ran well on dirt, but could potentially appreciate a turf surface as well. A deeper look into her pedigree is warranted. And now before we get started in her pedigree, I want to go ahead and take a look at my Google Sheets document just to show everybody the data set that I'm working with. So here's what I'm working with. If you look at the tab down below, you'll see Cosmonaut, that's the dam sire. And here is Wondermint. So in this left column here, We have all the top 50 earners by Cosmonaut, the ones that earn the most money on the racetrack. And we'll use Wondermint as an example because this is the dam of Wondergirl Carly, the horse we're covering. So Wondermint had 22 career starts, 5 wins, 2 seconds, 4 thirds. In this set of columns here, I'm describing the first career win by Wondermint. She won her debut race, so start number 1, at the age of 2 in the 7th month of the year, so in July, going a distance of 5 furlongs, a sprint on the dirt at Belmont Park. And then we fast forward to her most recent start. I want to get a sense of where these horses are being geared towards. Where are they excelling? Where are they getting their most recent win? So her most recent win, her 5th win, was in career start number 17 at the age of 4 in the 10th month, so October, going a distance of 6 furlongs on the dirt at Finger Lakes Track. And the dam sire of Wondermint is a horse named Three Wonders. And I've done this for all of the top 50 earners by each of these horses. If you go back through my pedigree playlist, you'll see all these different sires down here that I've covered, done the same thing for if you want to go check those out. I did the same thing for Gunrunner, his top 50 earners on the track. Got their stats down below, which I'm using for this video, but if you want to check it out for yourself, this file is included in the description below. In the sum tab, I'm just comparing and contrasting all the sires that I've covered so far. So I talk about what percent of those top 50 won on debut, the average number of starts it takes for their offspring to get their first win, the average age of their first win, and so on and so forth. We're going to cover a lot of this in this video, but again, this file is in the description below for anyone who's interested in taking a look for themselves. And just real quickly, I want to show anybody who may not know where to find the sire information on your racing form. So for example, your racing form is going to look like this. Number 3, Super Caliber. If we move over here, we're going to see the sire line. This horse also sired by Gunrunner, just like Wondergirl Carly. Here's the sire of Gunrunner, Candy Ride. Down here we have the dam, so the mother of Super Caliber was a horse named Transplendid, and the father or dam sire of Transplendid is Elusive Quality. So looking at Wondergirl Carly, we're going to look at the precocity. Right here, you'll see that I've averaged out how early and often the offspring of Gunrunner and Cosmonaut, again, the sire and dam sire of Wondergirl Carly, how often are they winning, how early? So of those 50 runners by Gunrunner, 40% of them won on debut, whereas only 8% won by Cosmonaut. The average starts for the first win, how many starts does it take for them to get the first win on average? The average age of their first win, the average number of starts to get their first win if they won at the age of 2, the average month of their first win. So a racing season for 2-year-olds starts in late spring, early summer. So I just want to know how early in their 2-year-old racing career are they getting their first win. So for Gunrunner, it's early September, and for Cosmonaut, their offspring are getting their first win mid-September. And the average number of starts it takes for their offspring to get their first win, if it takes them a little longer to get going, so 3 years old or older, 3.6 for Gunrunner and 9.3 starts for Cosmonaut. So debut winners, if we combine these two, the sire and dam sire together, we have 24% debut winners between the two of them, which is 5 points below average. And I'm using all the sires that I've covered so far for these averages. So if you combine them and sort of assume that's where Wondergirl Carly's going to land, a mix between these two, she's probably not as precocious as some of the other sires I've covered, so 5 points below average. The average number of starts to get their first win for all ages, you add these up, average it out, 5.2 starts, which is 1.8 starts above average of the sires I've covered. The average number of starts to get their first win, if they're a late bloomer, it takes them a little bit longer to get going, so 3 years old or older, it takes around 6.4 starts, which is 2.5 starts higher than the average. Immediate pedigree indicates to me that Wondergirl Carly's precocity could depend on which of her bloodlines she most exhibits. Since she won on debut at the age of 3, I passed over the stats for the sire's 2-year-old runners, but it should be noted that Gunrunner is much more productive with younger horses than Cosmonaut. If Wondergirl Carly takes after Gunrunner, she could be in line for a nice career. She has already surpassed statistical expectations by winning on debut at 3 years old, when on average it takes the offspring of her sire and dam sire an average of 6.4 starts before recording their first win at the age of 3 or older. So moving on, immediate pedigree surfaces for Wondergirl Carly. My earlier speculation leads me to assume that Wondergirl Carly should like the dirt surface, but may have some affinity for the turf in her bloodline. So I'm looking at the offspring, those 50 offspring for Gunrunner and Cosmonaut, where they got their first win as well as their most recent win. So 96% of those horses sired by Gunrunner got their first win on the dirt. Only 4% of them got their first win on turf, 0 on synthetic for Gunrunner. Cosmonaut's offspring, 55% got their first win on dirt, 40% on turf, and same thing with the last win, most recent win on dirt and turf. So if we average them out, their maiden win, also known as their very first win, if we combine them, On dirt, on average, they're winning their first race 76% of the time, which is 7 points higher than the average. On turf, they're getting their first win 22% of the time, which is 3 points below average. And on synthetic, 2.5% of them are getting their first win on synthetic, which is 3.5 points below average. Their most recent wins, so kind of where they're progressing to as they get older, more established. 81% of their runners have gotten their latest win on the dirt, which is 10 points above average. 17% have gotten their most recent win on turf, 7 points below average. And 3% on synthetic, 2 points below average. When averaged out, the offspring of her sire and dam sire are above average when it comes to winning on the dirt and below average when it comes to winning on the turf. However, her dam sire alone is above average with winners on turf, while her sire is significantly above average when it comes to winners on the dirt. Considering she won on debut on the dirt, I would lean that she's taking after her sire Gunrunner, but I would not discount her ability on the turf at this stage in her career. Distances. My earlier speculation based on the careers of Wondergirl Carly's immediate pedigree leads me to believe that she would be best suited in route races, so a mile or 8 furlongs or longer. So again, for Gunrunner and Cosmonaut, I looked at those top 50 earners. What distances did they get their first win and their most recent win? So a sprint and route, the first win distance as well as the last win distance. If we average out their first win, 50% of them are getting their first win sprinting, which is 11 points below average, and 50% are getting their first win routing, 11 points above average, an average distance of 7.2 furlongs, which is 0.3 furlongs higher than average. And as these horses progress, where have they gotten their latest win? Sprinting, if you average them out together, 40%, which is 8 points below average. Routing, 60%, 8 points above average, with an average distance of 7.5 furlongs. When averaged out, the offspring of both the sire and dam sire of Wondergirl Carly are winning at an above average rate in route races early and later in their careers. That is, a higher than average percentage of them are able to win at a mile or more for their first win, 11 points higher than average, as well as their last win, 8 points higher than average. The average distances of their first and latest wins are also above average, albeit slightly. This further indicates to me that Wondergirl Carly should appreciate longer distances. Looking at siblings of Wondergirl Carly. Wondergirl Carly has one full sibling by the name of Wonderride, which is the same sire and dam. So you see Gunrunner and Wondermint also produce another racehorse named Wonderride. Wonderride had 5 career starts, 1 wins, 2 thirds, had $116,000 in career earnings. She won on debut at the age of 2, going 7 furlongs on the dirt at Saratoga. She had a 3rd place running in the Grade 1 at Saratoga and was eventually purchased in the fall of 2024 for $250,000, and I assume for breeding purposes. Wondergirl Carly has one half sibling by the name of Spidey Sense, the same dam, not the same sire, just the same dam, Wondermint. Spidey Sense had 8 career starts, no wins, no seconds, and a 3rd place finish, had $3,000 in career earnings, never won a race. His best finish was a 3rd place, going 6.5 furlongs on the dirt at Charlestown. Wondergirl Carly's lone full sibling was successful on debut at a premier racetrack and eventually sold for $250,000, which indicates to me that this bloodline is solid and should be productive. The half sibling was not productive on the racetrack, even at a lower tier track with lesser competition. Based on the purchase price of Wonderride and also being sired by Gunrunner, Wondergirl Carly possesses the genes of a solid racehorse. Now it's a matter of their expression on the racetrack. Longevity and durability, so we're going to see how long the offspring of Gunrunner and Cosmonaut are running and also winning. So again, combined averages, the average number of starts for their offspring's most recent win, so how many races are they running and still able to get a win, averaged out 18.7 starts. The highest number of starts for most recent win is 48, so they've gotten a win in their 48th start, but on average, their most recent win is 18.7. Average age for most recent win, 4.5 years old, and the oldest age for most recent win is 5.5 years old on average. Considering that Gunrunner debuted his first crop of runners in 2019, he still has runners winning from that initial crop at the age of 6. Cosmonaut, on the other hand, has produced runners since 2011, and the oldest age for one of his winners is 5. I find this to be a very peculiar mix of breeding based on surface tendencies as well as overall productivity. If Wondergirl Carly takes after her sire, Gunrunner, she could have a productive and successful racing career and perhaps produce nice runners of her own. Key takeaways and final thoughts. Due to the popularity of her owner, Dave Portnoy, this horse might be an underlay for some time, meaning her betting odds to win could be lower than her actual chances of winning. While many horses debut at the age of 2, Wondergirl Carly did not debut until the age of 3. When she did debut, she appeared to handle it very professionally and won convincingly. Certainly a race she can build upon. Her sire earned over $60 million on the track and won the award for Horse of the Year in 2017. Her dam sire earned $1.6 million on the track, so she comes from a line of successful racehorses. Precocity is split between the sire and dam sire. Gunrunner produces a high number of debut winners, while Cosmonaut has not. Considering Wondergirl Carly won on debut, she might be a bit more precocious like her sire, and could possibly win again in her next start should the race surface, distance, and level of competition suit her at this particular time in her career. My figures indicate to me that this horse should thrive on the dirt, but could possibly have some turf ability through the dam side of the breeding. The sire and dam sire together have produced higher than average percentages of their offspring winning at a mile or more in both their first win as well as most recent win, indicating to me that Wondergirl Carly should take to longer distances just fine. Both sire and dam sire won all of their races at 8 furlongs or greater. Wondergirl Carly has one full sibling that won on debut, raced 5 total times, then was sold for $250,000, which tells me there is positive speculation regarding this bloodline. Gunrunner has produced at least one runner from his first crop that is still winning races in this calendar year, indicating to me that his runners can be durable for quite some time. There is a strong chasm between the productivity between Gunrunner and Cosmonaut. Gunrunner is obviously just a very productive sire, and Cosmonaut is definitely a step or two behind Gunrunner, so it's an interesting mix. So it's going to be interesting to see how Wondergirl Carly progresses through her career. Is she going to be a standout like Gunrunner or a little more mid-tier like Cosmonaut? To be determined, but so far so good. Look for Wondergirl Carly to run her next race on dirt, going at least 6 furlongs. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to stretch her out a little bit, but don't shy away if she switches to turf until she proves she does have a surface preference. That's it for Wondergirl Carly. Thanks to anybody for watching. Feedback was always appreciated, whether it's positive, negative, suggestions, or recommendations. Please leave me a comment below. Please like, subscribe, and or share with friends. My target audience is for folks that are relatively new to the sport, so if you do know anyone that's interested in horse racing, I do have a couple of playlists that is dedicated to help new players understand the game and get involved. And some of the playlists I made specifically for new players, one is how to read a racing form, where I break down a racing form into bite-sized pieces, explain what each component is telling you. I think there's 10 videos, they're a couple minutes each, but I just break down the racing form, which I always say is there to help the player make an informed decision. I just talk about what it's telling you, how you can decipher it, and how you can use it to make an informed decision on any particular race. Once you've somewhat mastered that, I have another playlist, Betting on Horse Racing, where I go over all the wagers that a track typically offers, talk about what it is, how much it costs based on your ticket structure, how to structure it, what terminology to use if you're going to a live clerk and placing a wager, and also some things that I look for before I place any such wager and how I might structure a ticket based on who I like and the odds that they are. But coming up next, I might do some article practice writing. If a job ever opens up where I could write some articles, I'd be very interested in that. So I might practice some articles and post them on my Facebook or Twitter, and my contact information is on the next slide, the outro slide of this video. I do want to start looking at the 2-year-olds in preparation for the 2026 Kentucky Derby. I did some Kentucky Derby prospects videos last year. Those were pretty popular, and things almost worked out when I went through about 20 horses that were headed towards the Derby, and I narrowed it down to 2. Of course, I had journalism on top over sovereignty, and it came sovereignty over journalism. So just the fact that it seemingly gave me an informed decision and I was close to winning such a chaotic race really inspired me to follow up and do the same thing this year, and maybe actually place a futures wager if I see something that I really like. But it was very useful and informative breaking down all the prospects so early, so I might be doing that next. I also might just handicap some upcoming race, and I also might just do another pedigree playlist. Looking at pedigree is arduous, but it's very important to the game. It's not my most popular videos, obviously, but I know it's important, and a lot of people don't want to do the work, so I want to do the work for myself, put it out publicly, and maybe help someone condense some of the studies into a 20-minute video, and they can gain a little sense of some of these sires and what their offspring like to do. So I hope that's helping somebody out there. Please let me know in the comments below what you think of these videos, anything else I should cover within them. But thanks anybody for watching. Good luck if you're playing the races, and I'll see you next time.